What was the table Moses was to build for? This is the question we seek to answer today as we continue our verse-by-verse study of the book of Exodus on walking through the Bible.
Of his word, the glory of his cross.
If you have a Bible with you, you can turn to Exodus 25. We're going to be reading from verses 23 to 30. If you don't have a Bible, don't worry. Just follow along with us on the screen. The version that we'll be reading from is the New King James Version. So, Exodus 25, beginning at verse 23. You shall also make a table of acacia wood. 2 cubits shall be its length, a cubit its width, and a cubit and a half its height. And you shall overlay it with pure gold, and make a molding of gold all around. You shall make for it a frame of a hand breadth all around, and you shall make a gold molding for the frame all around. And you shall make for it 4 rings of gold, and put the rings in the 4 corners that are at its 4 legs. The rings shall be close to the frame as holders for the poles to bear the table. And you shall make the poles of acacia wood, and overlay them with gold, that the table may be carried with them. You shall make its dishes, its pans, its pitchers, and its bowls for pouring. You shall make them of pure gold, and you shall set the showbread on the table before me always. In this chapter we have God giving Moses the design for the sanctuary that was to be built. Israel was to willingly give God for the purpose of the sanctuary gold, silver, and bronze, blue, purple, and scarlet thread, fine linen and goat's hair, ram skins dyed red, badger skins, and acacia wood, oil for light, and spices for the anointing oil and for the sweet incense, onyx stones and stones to be set in the ephod and in the breastplate. This sacrifice wasn't required to be all of what each Israelite possessed, but a portion of it, given from the heart because they desired to build the sanctuary for God. In the last 2 episodes, we've been looking at the building of the Ark of the Covenant. We find that God told Moses the dimensions of the ark, the materials it was to be built out of, and what was to be placed in it. To cover it, Moses was to build a mercy seat. The mercy seat had its own dimensions, had its own material, and 2 cherubs were to be placed, one on each side, facing the other to cover the mercy seat. God would meet Moses and later the high priest above the mercy seat. For a more detailed discussion of the Ark of the Covenant, we refer you to lessons 94 and 95 of the series, which can be found on our YouTube channel shown at the bottom of the screen under the Walking Through the Bible Exodus playlist. Moving now to today's reading, God gives Moses instructions for another holy item, a table. Now, we normally wouldn't think of a table as holy, but God had a specific purpose for this table, something we'll get to in a moment. Like the Ark of the Covenant, this table was to be made of acacia wood. It was to be 2 cubits in length, a cubit in width, and a cubit and a half in height. A cubit is 45.72 centimeters, or 1.5 feet, so the table's dimensions were 91.44 centimeters by 45.72 centimeters by 68.58 centimeters, or 3 feet by 1.5 feet by 2.25 feet. Also, like the Ark of the Covenant, the table was to be overlaid with pure gold, and a molding was to be made of gold all around. This molding was to be about a hand breadth in size, a measure of 4 fingers, which is about 7.62 centimeters or 3 inches. It also was to be carried with staves, so 4 rings of gold was to be placed on the 4 corners that were at its 4 legs. The rings were to be close to the frame so that it could be carried. The staves or poles were to be made of acacia wood that was overlaid with gold so that they could bear the table. All in all, the table here was made very similar to the Ark of the Covenant in the materials that were used, the fashioning of it, and the way it would be carried. If you wonder why God made these items transportable, let's remember the children of Israel were at Mount Sinai, and the journey to Canaan would be a long one. That necessitates that these items be taken with them, for they were going to be made before leaving Sinai. Now, I don't know about you, but carrying a table of that size overlaid with pure gold, and for that distance without a proper way of carrying it, would be tiresome indeed. Add to the fact that the children of Israel were not to touch certain of the holy things lest they die, and we see that God's instructions here for transportation were not only practical, but they had a religious purpose as well. So we've discussed what this table was to be made of. Now, what was it for? It was the table for the showbread. Showbread means bread of the face or bread of the presence. We're not told what showbread is here, what it's made for, or what its purpose is. But we'll get to that in Leviticus 24, verses 5 to 9, so if you want to read ahead, you most certainly can, but we will save our comments on it until then. Along with the table, they were also to make utensils for the table of pure gold, these utensils being dishes, pans, pitchers, and bowls for pouring. We will see these utensils mentioned later as it concerns this table. With that, our time is up for today. Lord willing, we hope you'll join us for tomorrow's discussion of Exodus 25, verses 31 to 40, as we continue our walk through the Bible, one verse at a time.
I'm not
Thank you for watching today's episode. We hope that you found it edifying and ask that you not only subscribe to our channel and podcast, but that you like and share this episode among your friends, so that the saving gospel of Jesus Christ can go out to the whole world.
of his cross.